Welcome to Meet JMT, Insights from Within, a series that introduces our industry professionals and provides them the opportunity to share their professional experiences, personal reflections, and sources of inspiration as individuals working in the architecture, engineering, and construction sectors.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Meet JMT podcast. My name is Jennifer, and I am your host and digital marketing manager here at JMT. Today, we have Jennifer Slacum joining us on the podcast. She's a senior environmental scientist in our Natural and Cultural Resources group. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jenni. Would you mind telling our listeners just a little bit more about yourself and your role here at JMT?
Hi, Jen. Thanks for inviting me to participate. I am a senior environmental scientist in the Natural and Cultural Resources group based out of Hunt Valley, Maryland. I specialize in natural resource studies, and in particular, I do environmental permitting and compliance for our large complex alternate delivery infrastructure projects. So in short, our bridges, highways, rails, things like that.
Well, thank you so much for that additional introduction. We're going to just jump right into the podcast with our first question. What were some of your inspirations when you were choosing your professional career?
My journey to a career in natural resources began as a child growing up in the Pennsylvania Laurel Highlands, which is out by Pittsburgh for anyone who's unfamiliar. Unique places like Ohio State Park and the Youghiogheny River were part of my playground growing up. During trips to some of our national parks, it became really clear to me that I wanted to pursue a career in natural resources. So I did research and found the Penn State School of Forest Resources, and I applied to and was accepted into the Wildlife Fisheries Science program. In that time at Penn State, I spent several semesters, including summers, working on an EPA wetland assessment project for Dr. Rob Brooks at the Penn State Cooperative Wetland Center, where I learned all the skills that I needed to delineate and assess the functional values of wetlands. During that time, I also built really strong connections with other wetland professionals and made several lifelong friends that were all really beneficial towards me starting a career in consulting.
I think it's great that those experiences led you to pursue natural resources as a career. Can you tell us about a significant project you've handled and how that may have impacted you, JMT, or even the AEC industry as a whole?
Sure. During my time as an MDE Wetlands and Waterways Tidal Wetlands Division planner, I was part of the multi-agency team that focused an effort on educating stakeholders about the Maryland Living Shoreline Protections Act in 2008 and all of the softer engineering approaches that VIMS and other coastal science and engineering practitioners were studying and successfully implementing throughout the Mid-Atlantic to stabilize our eroding shorelines and address some of the effects of sea level rise. This opportunity at MDE put me in the forefront of the regulatory requirements and engineering approaches to shoreline stabilization, climate change, and sea level rise. When I decided to return to consulting, I was able to take that experience and those connections and more effectively support our clients' needs.
I think that sounds like a really impactful role, being a part of those really early efforts to educate stakeholders about the Living Shorelines Protection Act and promote softer engineering approaches must have been both challenging but extremely rewarding. Outside of your day-to-day career, what are some of your hobbies or interests that you feel have really influenced your professional journey?
Really, my love of all outdoor things has been the inspiration for my professional journey. I grew up camping and fishing and hiking, canoeing, gardening, and those are still hobbies that I enjoy today. I also grew up in a blue-collar family, so it's no surprise my career trajectory took me into design build, where I'm regularly on active construction sites overseeing the real world implementation of the environmental regulations and permit conditions that I work so hard to secure for a project.
I love how your personal and professional passions are so closely connected, and it's clear that your appreciation for the outdoors has really shaped your career path. I want to thank you so much for joining me on the Meet JMT podcast today. But before we leave, do you have any closing thoughts or even words of wisdom for our listeners?
I have a phrase that's common for horseback riding, and it's something I've heard for years while my daughter was taking lessons. And I try to apply it throughout my life. Eyes up, heels down. And it reminds me to stay focused and looking forward and helps me recenter and prepare for any challenges that life throws at me.
Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed the Meet JMT podcast today. Remember to subscribe, post a review, And of course, encourage your friends and colleagues to do the same.